Jacob Wiedering. It's
Ah,
time. It's time. It's always a good conversation to talk about
wowee.
Mr. Wiedering.
Oof.
Paul, he is born on the 23rd of November, 1997.
Yep.
He has played 159 games.
Yep.
This could go for 30 minutes. I could talk about Jacob Wiedering forever.
Yeah. What a footballer.
Yeah.
Leader in a defensive rock, and it was all capped off by winning the John Nichols medal, which he did that surprise a few? Maybe a few.
I think a lot of us saw his early season form offensively and got caught into that. But no matter what happened to him offensively in the first half of the season last year, defensively, he was astute throughout the entire year.
Yeah. He, I mean, you got to defend first as a defender, don't you?
Yep.
I think it's the whole adage now with goalkeepers who are good with their feet. You know, you see what Manchester United have got at the moment. Andre Onana, he can't save. He's horrible. So first things first with Jacob Wiedering, defend and then worry about the rest. And I was looking at some of his numbers before we did this, and he actually led the competition for marks last year. And he's ranked elite for intercept marks. And I don't know how many times he's achieved the career best amount of intercepts. He may have done this on multiple occasions, but he had a career best 7 intercepts against St Kilda in that round 21 game. So his form in the second half of the year was sparkling. It was scintillating. And, you know, he went through what he went through at the start of the season with regards to the off-field stuff, which no doubt would have affected him. I don't think you can even question that, to be honest. And I think the one thing that I noted down here, and I've looked away from, I've tried to look away from numbers and stats just for this little bit. He's playing with a smile and weight off his shoulders halfway through when the Gold Coast game came around and beyond. And he's always been a player that I've felt has played with a lot of weight on his shoulders, and he's always seemed, I don't know, he just seems down when he was playing. Not because that's him as his person or that's his nature, but I think just because of what he's had to deal with in that backline for however many years. I don't think he's ever played with a sprightly look on his face or a sprightly look, throughout his body. And I think we got that this year. And he found his mojo second half of the season, obviously. And the one thing that really stood out for me, I don't know if you remember, there was a moment in that semi-final, that Melbourne game, where Melbourne had the momentum up in the third quarter and they were pressing and pressing and pressing, and they got a clearance out of the middle. And he's zoomed across from the outside it was from left to right of where the ball was coming in, and he put himself in the middle of the contest, and it was his contested mark where he just went up and kind of crunched everything, and he took the mark on the side like that. And I was just taken aback. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, mate, you're playing out of your skin. That moment for me was the moment for Jacob Wiedering in 2023. And he's just been enormous. He's a sensational footballer. He's become a brilliant leader in that back line when all looked lost in season 2023. And he's taken the mantra of, and I know I keep mentioning this, he's taken the mantra that Aaron Hamill pummeled into his head, which is, it's not your man when we're playing our defensive duties, it's our man.
Yeah.
And he's been very selfless with what he's done, and he's put his body on the line. And it came as no shock that him staying fit without an AC joint, that we've actually had our best season as a group. So
he, for
very
me,
important player.
Well, I was about to say, he for me is our most important player.
Yep.
When I look at around the ground, if you lose one of the big forwards, at least you've got the other one. Yep. Wiedering, I fear for a day where he's not playing because we don't have someone that anchors the defense the way he does.
Yeah.
You touched on his growth in 23. I actually think, the off-field stuff happened, and, with time comes perspective. And now that time has passed, it's you've got to overcome something. And I think that
of course
has been, and hopefully will be, the one of the core challenges for him to overcome as a human being. And, you know, the challenge of going through something like that whilst being a professional, whilst being a leader at a big football club like Carlton, and to see him come out the other end and get his flowers and win the best and fairest and perform and earn the right. It's I think 23 will go down as one of the years of, you know, the making of Jacob Wiedering. And like I said, 159 games. Like, we are in the sweet spot right now of him. He's right in the prime of his career. You know, 26 years old. You know, it's hard to believe. Like, we've seen this guy since he was a teenager, and now we're getting to this point where he's now entering into, you know, one of the senior players in the league. And that's going to be very scary for opposition forwards for the next couple of years.
Yeah, he's the nucleus of that back line. So he's the guy that stands there, and then everything kind of revolves around him, and everything is focused and centered around him to a certain point. So I think when he's up and about, everything else in that back line just clicks into place, and everything else flows. So when he's up and about with his intercepting, and he's up and about with his defending and his guidance and leadership, everything else in that back line just clicks into place, and everyone else can get ahead of the ball when we need to, and we can play that high press, we can play that high line because he's so reliable now. There was one little question mark I had on him for a little while, which was, are you elite at reading the ball in the air? And he's slowly but surely got that down pat now. So I don't think there's too much of a concern with him coming into 2024. Just all we say is, I think it's like he's like the rest of the team. He's like the rest of the team. Just keep doing what you're doing. I don't know what more could he add to his game that could take him to the next level. The only thing now is, and I think it's just the case with the whole group, it's consistency. And being as good as you were, you know, for the back half of the season for longer in 2024. And that'll, you know, that should lead us into going pretty deep into the season again. I don't know. What else could he add to his game? A little bit, I don't know, leadership, getting better with leadership. The more experience you have, the better you get. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I always feel like with him, when we have so he's number 2, we'll call it, you know, the second key defender. You know, we've gone through quite a few. Lewis Young, you know, Caleb Marchbank comes in a little bit. McGovern's kind of there. It kind of changes. And I feel like once the backline gets more consistency, I should say, I don't know if there's a plan for him to turn into more of an intercept player than what he already is. Like right now, he's our fullback. He's our number 1 defender, takes the number 1 forward. He's our rock. So unless we free him up a little bit and get his offensive game going a bit more, I don't know. Like, and also he's in this point now where I don't think I'll ever worry about Jacob Wiedering working hard on his game and getting better. Like, there's a trust with him, you know?
Yeah, you do you. Boo.
You do you. You know, he's not one that I'm looking at and saying, "Oh, we need more." Like, he's on the right track, and I think Jacob knows what's best for Jacob.
Trust is the hardest thing to earn as a professional sportsman, especially at our club, and I think he's well and truly earned it. But it doesn't mean you can rest on your laurels. So, for me, it's more of the same. And is there a potential place where he could, you know, if it was getting dire straits and something happened that he could press forward for 10 minutes or something like that? I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas and just plucking things out of the sky. I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, I think the one thing for him now is developing his leadership and just finding another element to that. What that means, I don't know. I think it means consistency. That's what I think it means. Yeah. Being better for longer.
Well, those of you watching at home, what do you think about this conversation? Do you look at Jacob Wiedering and you know, do you think there are elements where he'll add to his game? If so, let us know in the comments.